Discussing about the religious dissent in Finland and the history of our country, I would like to point out the relationship between Protestant Lutheranism and Orthodox faith. Today we need to understand that at the population, which is here the 5.5 million, 69% belongs to the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and only 1% belongs to the Orthodox Church. Secularization is going on strong, and already 30% of the population doesn't belong to the churches at all. Finland is traditionally Lutheran, but we have always had an Orthodox minority. In old times, in the eastern part of Finland, there was a territory called Karelia, which has been always a border area between east and west. When Finland was a part of Sweden, there were continuation of wars between Novgorod, Moscow, and Russia, and we know that the latest war was a Second World War, when Russia, Soviet Union, and Finland was fighting. So in the beginning of 19th century, Finland became a part of Russian Empire, and we used to have Russian military troops and merchants and so on in big cities and towns, and they formulated the churches and congregations there, but they were always some kind of strange in the eyes of traditional population. But they were a part of the administration, and was adapted to the Finnish society. The situations changed at the last part of the century, when the Slavic oppression was quite heavy, and at the same time the Finnish nationalism popped out, and it resulted the independence in 1917, and straight after that there's a civil war between leftist red and right-wing whites. And this civil war was connected to the Russian situation, that the Russian troops still stayed in Finland in that situation, and a part of the civil war was to drive out Russian troops from Finland. The war ended, and the white side won, and after the independence, the legislation was quite open-minded, and we formulated a law of religious freedom, and which also meant that we tried to create so-called Finnishness, where Orthodox religion was included, because the Karelia was a part of Finland, and it was regarded as some kind of cradle and the starting point of Finnishness. So the Orthodoxy became, at the side of the Lutheranism, so-called state religion, even though it was so small. But there was a problem. The problem was that the Orthodoxy in Finland, regardless it was in towns or in Karelian countryside, it was actually Russian, in Russian origin. There was a Russian language, Slavonic language, Russian symbols, and all visual elements looked like Russian. And the first thing was in this names of in the name of dissent. I think that it was ripping off the Russian symbols from the churches. The onion cupolas were torn off. In the icons, the Slavonic texts were overwritten and compensated. In Finnish, military churches were torn down, and the Finnish Orthodox Church became a part of Constantinople Patriarchate instead of Moscow. So it means that the Finnish Orthodox was regarded as a combination of Karelia tradition and as well Byzantine tradition directly from the early Christian times, and it looked like there is no anything between early Christian times and contemporary times. It looked like that we tried to forget that our Orthodoxy actually was Russian in origin. Well, the Second World War changed the situation that the most part of the Karelia was conceived by Soviet Union, and people and items were evacuated from Karelia, and new congregation in the West were composed, and then the building tradition was directly following the ideology of the early independent time, which meant that direct Russian symbols were not visible. They were put down. And that meant at the same time some kind of integration to the Finnish society. Those Russian Orthodox symbols became slightly visible in the late 60s onwards, but still this dissent or division remained. And how can I prove it? For example, I take an example. I happen to be the board member of Riisa Finnish Orthodox Church Museum, and the exhibition in the museum gives us a narration what is the Finnish Orthodoxy. And if you go through the exhibition, you can easily recognize that those items are completely all from nowadays Russia, but culturally and also they are Russian, but the narration is that they are Karelian, and the influences comes directly from Byzantine. And what about the contemporary situation in general? Immigration from contemporary Russia has resulted that there are a lot of people, Russian people, who have religious needs, but they are only partly integrated to the Finnish Orthodox Church. There is a tendency to create new congregations under Moscow Patriarchate. And as we know, the communion relationship between Moscow Patriarchate and Constantinople Patriarchate closed in 2018 as a result of political issues, for example, Ukrainian situation and so on. But still, the Finnish Orthodox Church and Russian Orthodox Church, they do have quite good relationship to each other. But as we know that the Russian Orthodox Church and Russian state politics is they are very close together, and we know that European Union and Russia are strongly have strongly different opinions of different things, and this kind of disagreement, political disagreement, strengthens the dissent that we are discussing about. But the result is that the dissent is not anymore religious, but the religious dissent has become political.